láyé olúgbọ́n mo ké borùn méje ẹ ò máa kọ yí lórin láyé àrẹ̀sà mo ké borùn mẹ́fà ẹ ò máa kọ yí lórin láyé ìsẹ̀yìn èmi ra kókò mo ra rán mo ra sányán bàbá sọ àfọ̀lẹ́ ló lè pélé.
Hello everyone, my name is Adeyemo Adegbemiga Ganiu. I welcome you to my new Yoruba Abrahamic YouTube video. And today we'll be touching about the legacy and attribute of the commonly known Queen Sheba in Abrahamic books, who is popularly known as Bilikisu Sungbo in today's Yoruba land in southwestern part of today's Nigeria of West Africa. So let's quickly dive into it. First and foremost, we need to break down what her names really know, so you will understand how she got all those names. From indigenous, she's been dubbed as Bilikisu Sungbo. From North Africa, where remnant of the Ijebu used to dwell in antiquity, she is known as Makeda and Makeba. While outside the entire continent of Africa, she's commonly dubbed as the Queen of Sheba. So let's quickly break down what those names actually mean and the genesis of it. From Yoruba land, naturally her name is Biliki. That Sungbo that was attributed to her name, which made it to be Bilikisu Sungbo, that Sungbo is actually a reference to a spiritual river around our kingdom, and likewise the wall, which is commonly known as Eredo. And this war predated the Benin War, while the Benin War predated the China War of today in Asia land. But these three wars were built by the same set of people, if you must know. The leader of the Benin who went to China, or who led some group of Benin to China, was called Yase, like a king warrior. But in China of today, the kingdom is depicted as Iyasu in the China history. So that's for that. So Bilikisu Sungbo, that is her name in Yoruba land, her native name. In North Sudan, this is a reference name that was done by the people of her children, which is why we have the Solomonic dynasty. After an event took place from Yoruba land and extended to that place, I will touch on that later. But outside the continent of Africa, she is commonly known as Queen Sheba. That Queen Sheba was also a Yoruba name that was dubbed for Ashebi Oba. Ashebi Oba actually means a reference or someone whose lifestyle is more like a queen or like a royal, even though she was never from a royal lineage. And that is simply because the lifestyle of Bilikisu Sungbo is compared to the lifestyle of the king or the royal type. If she walks in group, being accompanied by different people. She has her authority always overrided or supersede many obas outside Yoruba land, while her popularity and legacy spread across the entire region of Africa and beyond. So this was where she got the idea of Sheba from. Ashebi Oba, she that does like a queen, because her lifestyle was so divine and very royal. So those are where the concept of the Queen Sheba. The queen is another name in Yoruba. The queen means Olori, queen. Sheba, Ashebi Oba, Olori, tí ó máa ń ṣe bí ọba. That is where the idea of Queen Sheba came from. So what do we know about Bilikisu Sungbo? She was born into a reputable family at Ijebu Oke, into Okeeri at Ijebu land in today's southwestern part of Nigeria, where the majority Ijebu clan actually dwell, because the minor Ijebu also dwelled at the Nubia region, which was called, sometimes dubbed them as the Wadai, which is commonly natively known as Owa Ife or Wadaye. Because we have Ife Wadaye, we have Otu Ife, we have different kind of Ife Ate world, so many type of Ife. So that is the native name. So Owadaye was what later was shortened as Wadai, and the Nubian was derived from Omonuwabi, while the Napata is another name for Niapata because of the mountain that was there in Jebu Baka, Ijebuni Ile Baka. So those are where all those names came from. If you actually check in the Bible elsewhere, King David chose to reside at the Jebusite at the higher mountain, or stay away from the less mountain. So everything has to do with different type of Ijebu. So majority of the Ijebu in West Africa, while the majority of the minority of the Ijebu in North Sudan. These are the two Ijebu where Bilikisu Sungbo used to revolve based on trade and popularity and so. So Bilikisu Sungbo was a mother. She was a queen, and she was also a warrior who is commonly known across the entire Yoruba land, but basically lived at the Ijebu land. She grew up as a common woman who was rarely known earlier in her early stage, but as she was growing up, she began to do something mysterious which made her to be very popular. And one of the things she did was that she was notably recognized in the community as a woman who barely talks to people and faces her job. She really had no time or have no affiliation with men or anything rather than what she wants to do to make money. So at the early stage of her life, she has started making money to an extent that she became a wealthy woman. Then she decided to build her own kingdom by herself out of her hard-earned sweat. So after she made those things, she employed different women. Most of her workers were women. She had slaves, she has apprentices, and she has comrades who do accompany her to wherever she goes. And aside from that, she went into different businesses, and one of her businesses is the sales of kola nut, the sales of the higher quality brocade, which is commonly known as adire or ashonlala from Ijebu or Abeokuta. And she does also she also went into the molding of poultry of different sizes, and gave it and always apportioned it to her slave to take it far away to different parts of Africa for sale, while those slaves always come back after a month or two with the sales and whatever profit they bring. So she has been so proactive in her businesses, and these are all what actually made her to become very wealthy at early stage of her life. So as she was growing on, she became very popular. The another aspect we people don't commonly talk about is that of Sungbo, which is the Sungbo River or the Eredo kingdom that is beside her kingdom, beside her empire. This water, people did rumor that this water was a source of her spiritual power. Only God knows what it is, and this is simply because whenever she is around, at least a month or 2 months, she commonly visits the river to do some rituals. And it was also reported that this river always revealed things to come to her, to understand that she's so proactive that she put the kingdom of Ijebu at heart. She was ready to die for the Ijebus and defend the land with whatever she had. So this also made her to become one of the most notable or reputable figures across the Ijebu land during her lifetime. So let's now quickly dive about her encounter with King Solomon. First of all, let me remind you again, King Solomon was never a white European Caucasian man. This is why King Solomon also described himself as a typical black African man in 1 Solomon in the Bible. The father of King Solomon as well, which is commonly known as David, was also described as another typical black African man in the same Bible as well. Then the great-grandfather of King David, which is commonly known as Judah, his entire kingdom can still be related to the West African region between the Benin and the Ile-Ife region, where the kingdom around the 1747 maps and go downward. So everything about King David and his legacy is in between the ancient empire of Ife, which extended from Ile-Ife and Oyo straight down to Benin, Togo. So it was also indicated in the map. And if you also check the Wikipedia as well, the kingdom of Wida have had series of names over the years, but is still known as the southwestern to the western region of Africa, which is still today Ile-Ife. In a nutshell, Queen Sheba, King David is a black man. Solomon is a black man. So likewise, Bilikisu Sungbo, which is Queen Sheba as well. So it all makes sense that the whole situation or the whole event about Solomon and Queen Sheba relationship, that is all mixing, that they all took place in Yoruba land and this today western part of Nigeria, likewise the Benin. So that is where I'm actually going to. So having know that it now makes sense that Queen Sheba met Solomon. I know who King Solomon is, Yoruba land, but this is not the topic I must be treating here. I need to start speaking because the little truth I'm actually saying, I'm receiving backlash lately among those extremists who have no inner ear to listening except what they actually see. And many Yoruba continue to limit our Yoruba history to today's continent, to this geographical location we the Europeans apportioned to us. So that makes them so limited in wisdom and exposure, where they fail to realize that Yoruba kingdom surpasses today's Nigeria. As a matter of fact, is bigger than the entire Africa. But when a typical Yoruba man is talking about the Yoruba history based on the little portion of today's Nigeria, they practically don't know anything about history except the hearsays. So as we were saying, Solomon did encounter Queen Sheba. We also had it in record that it was about the fourth time Solomon did send some entourage to meet Queen Sheba. The first time Queen Sheba turned the offer down because she wasn't used to talking to men or having any affiliation with any kind of men. She only focuses on her job. And again, the third time, the fourth time, it was at the fourth time that Queen Sheba later accepted, welcomed King Solomon's entourage and visited them because they brought her some gifts which she could not refuse. That was when the relationship between Queen Sheba, Bilikisu Sungbo, and Queen Solomon started excelling. And over there, we should not also forget one of the factors that actually made Queen Sheba to accept Solomon's offer was because of the nature of Solomon. Let me tell you who Solomon is, or from the modern Hebrew pronunciation. From the modern Hebrew pronunciation in the Torah, Solomon is not pronounced as Sulaiman, if you must know. Neither is he pronounced as Solomon. The actual pronunciation of Solomon came from Solomon. Some dub it as Shlomon, Sholomo, or Sholemo, depending on how you can pronounce it, but it's Sholemon. Let me now tell you the breakdown of those names from the Yoruba narrative. The idea of Solomon comes from Osho and Ile, Oniimo, a wizard. A wizard of this earth which has wisdom. That is where the idea of Solomon comes from. And bear in mind, like I keep saying in reference to my earlier videos, all the names of all the prophets from the Abrahamic book from A to Z, either from the Quran or from the Torah, are mere nicknames. Always put that in your mind. Are mere nicknames. Those names are Abraham, Solomon, David. Those names are not their indigenous real name. They are mere nicknames, names that were attributed to them based on events that took place at irrespective lifetime. I will give you few examples, like the word of Methuselah. Methuselah was derived from Emi to du sile aye, Emi to pe sile aye, a soul that refused to die. This is why Methuselah in the Bible was described as a man who refused to die because he lived long. Let me give you another one. So Moses, Omishore, Omishemilore, Moshe in Torah was derived from a water that did me good, and it was also reflected in the Bible when the Pharaoh's wife lifted Moses up, that I named him Moses because the water did me good as I lifted him up. So if you check out the Iye, Eshuawa, Jesus was a salvation bringer. Yeshua was a salvation. He defended the Ethiopian land. If you check out the Ethiopian Bibles and co, he defended. So because he was a salvation bringer, would bring salvation. This is why he was dubbed as Iye Eshutiwa. So all these names, or Adam, Adalati no Amo, because he was created from the dark muddy clay. All these names are mere nickname, not their real name. So let's now apply to the case of Solomon. Solomon too was called Oshole Oniimo, a wizard of this earth who has wisdom. If you check out the Bible too, Solomon could control wind, could control demons, could control jinns, have a magic stick, just like the Harry Potter wizardry sticks. He has a magic stick, and he was also described as a man of wisdom. So all these names are nicknames which was dubbed as Oshole Onimo, a wizard with the earth knowledge and wisdom. That is where, so Solomon was actually a wizard. He could do all manners of things. He could disappear, he could do, and we can also see its reference in the Bible in Baqarah 1:2 verse 102, where God says Solomon did not disbelieve. It was the devil who disbelieved. The devil were attribution to the people of ancient Babylonian who were into dark magics. They were witches, and also Solomon was actually a wizard. So God is trying to say, even though both of them may have similarity, witches and wizard, Solomon did not disbelieve. Why the devil disbelieved? And they were being called devil based on what they did, not because of the power they have. So they are good witches, they are bad witches. So Solomon was a divine human being despite all the power. So you can call his power divine power of God, but it still doesn't take the fact that he was a wizard. This is why he is called Oshole. So being who Solomon is, it became very easy for Bilikisu Sungbo to become into him, to be into him, because she was also not an, I can swear, call her a witch or a powerful person as well. So for that, a powerful male and a powerful woman, their chemistry became so solidified to an extent that they have this kind of chemistry. Because initially Bilikisu Sungbo have no affiliation for enemy. She has no taste for enemy. She just focuses on her business. Unfortunately, celebrity marriage doesn't last. So Bilikisu Sungbo and Solomon were powerful people from their different angles. So they were more like a side relationship or side chick thing. So, despite that, Queen Sheba had a son for this Solomon. And because Queen Sheba needed her life to be upright, want to live like a real human being, and want to have a proper home, she now took that son which she had for Solomon. She took it far away to the minority Ijebu in North Sudan, which the Ethiopian of today, which were initially Aksun, or the Abyssinian dubbed as Menelik. If you check the modern Ethiopia, which are Aksun, they also don't have a refined information. There are conflict about the origin of. Maybe I'm giving them I'm giving them an hint where their Menelik come from, which they commonly refer to Solomon. It was through Bilikisu Sungbo that it was the son which Bilikisu Sungbo had for Solomon in Yoruba land that was taken to the minority Ijebu people in North Sudan, which started the Solomonic dynasty at the Ekwa, and that is another story for another day. So after them, Bilikisu Sungbo, which is Queen Sheba, now came back to West Africa at the land of the majority Ijebus in today's southwest of Nigeria. That was when she now met another new man who is commonly known as Aleyo. So after she married Aleyo, they lived longer and they were very happy together. She had another 2 children for Aleyo, but rumors also had it that Bilikisu Sungbo power was just too extreme, and it was equally added to the quick death of Aleyo, because Aleyo was just a random human being. But ever after the death of Aleyo, Bilikisu Sungbo became very moody again, because she lost the man that truly loves him for who she was. So, but being who she is, she oftenly all her workers knows her that she is never always a moody person. So ever since the death of Aleyo, she wasn't really interested in most of the things she used to do anymore. We also learned that after the death of Aleyo, she just woke up from her bed suddenly one day. She was extremely hungry, and people never knew what led to her hunger. So she summoned all her apprentices, her workers, her slaves, and everybody. She summoned them. Then, to their surprise, she began lacks encouragement, start thanking them, applauding them for all the years they spent with her. They never really knew what she was trying to do. That day, some said she later disappeared, some said she later died, but her burial site is still at Ijebu Okeere of today, where she is. And before she actually died, she made mention that she gave guidelines too. She said no woman should come close to her burial site, which they might have preserved for her, because our land will always be the preserved or divine one. And women, and she made it known that she never had hatred. She's not having any hatred for the women. She's only trying to say, because women are into menstrual pain or menstrual misses, they should not bring down those kind of things to our burial site. Why they can just move back or stay about few meters away from our burial site and make their prayers. Why he said all men can come whenever they are, and each of these people can make their prayers, so that she can always be a stepping stone to the Almighty as an Orisha who left this world. And like I always said, all the Orisha in Yoruba land, this is exactly what they normally do. They never call themselves God, or they never tell their people to worship them. They always see me as a stepping stone to the Almighty God, which was where the concept of Bibo come from. Bibo means to honor. Sinsin means to worship, even though the sinsin even has question mark. But that Bibo is like the way you used to honor your parent, because just like the Muslim we honor Muhammad in order to get the mercy of Allah, while the Christian we honor Jesus in order to get the mercy of Elohim. Just like the same way the Yoruba would say Ebomi Eje Kalobo Shango, Kalobo Ya Kalobo Ogun, so that we will see the mercy of Olodumare and the 401 Irumole is in devil. So this is where the concept of Bibo and Sinsin came from. And likewise that Bilikisu Sungbo said the same thing, that so that people, whoever comes to my graveyard, can always see me as a reference to the Almighty God, because she know who she is. It is we in Yoruba land and the world that actually think she's a random woman of this earth. So that is the story for Bilikisu Sungbo. So let's now go about some of our spirituality I was able to gather. They say Bilikisu Sungbo during her lifetime, she rarely goes out of her kingdom, because for the fact that she doesn't talk much, she might sometimes reside in her kingdom or refuse to come out for almost about 2 years. And at the same time, while people believe that she's in her kingdom, she's also being sighted at the same time at different parts of Africa, like three or four places simultaneously, while she'll be doing different things. So it's like someone who has the ability or power to replicate herself at the same time of being in America, London, Canada at the same time while still in Nigeria. So can you see the reason why she was able to cope with the Solomon? Because Solomon also have similar power. So when I say Bilikisu Sungbo has similar power to Solomon, that was why they could be able to marry themselves temporarily for some time. Why Aleyo initially died, because Aleyo doesn't have the light being to cope with her. So those are the kind of way she normally do. She has the power to travel through the wings too. She can travel with thousands of miles within 1 minute and come back, because she is, and whenever she is leaving her kingdom, the throne in her palace used to be covered with cobwebs, mysterious cobwebs that will cover all her throne. Why none of her workers dare near those places unless she comes back by herself to clear the cobwebs and sit out on it. She has so many authorities she used to visit. She continued to have visitors, and the most part of her that made her to be very awesome is that despite all her wealth or her spiritual power and co, she was down to earth. We also added that if she is moving from one location to a location, she will be greeting both the elders of the community. She will even be kneeling down with her 2 knees in order to show an absolute respect. So she never undermined anyone during her lifetime. So she was loved by people of the community. She was loved by the kings of the town, and she was equally loved by everyone across the world. So that was how she spent her entire life. Another thing, people commonly wonder how Bilikisu Sungbo legacy spread beyond western part of Africa. In antiquity, the Yoruba people, this is why I say Yoruba really have to understand the history of today's southwest of Nigeria is like 1% out of how great the Yorubas were in antiquity. Yorubas uniformly occupied the entire West Africa. But because of the transatlantic slave trade, our knowledge are only limited to what we know in today's part of Nigeria. So, but what we know, I'm not saying what we know in Nigeria, but it doesn't qualify what happened in antiquity. So in those days, different ethnics out of the Yoruba clan spread throughout Africa, and among them they have different focus of tax. Like in Mali, the Negro of Mali were commonly known as the scholars, which is why we have the likes of Timbuktu. The Negroes are the Maori. Let me tell you, the Negro Maori, the initial Mauritanian people, were black Negro people who came. Negro came from Aniogo Omologo from West Africa, and the Sahara River, which you commonly see today as a vast land, used to be a marshy land, a land of a wide river. The river dried up about 1,000 years ago, if you don't know. So those rivers was linked to the transatlantic water. So those rivers were commonly occupied by the Ilaje people. This is why we have the likes of Eko of today, which is Lagos. Another Eko is in Portugal, which is another Lagos. That is story for another day. So the Negroes, they were called Maori, and the words was taken from Onimohare. Maori, Mo, and Onimohare, they all mean the same thing, and each singles of them used to dwell at the Mauritanian region, at the west northern part of Africa. So they always leave those places to visit different continents outside Africa, to explore America, to explore Spain, to explore all those places, which is why so these were the people who brought the legacy, or who preaches the legacy, or who reflected the legacies of Bilikisu Sungbo to the western region of Africa. And through Aksum, we became the first monarchy in North region. And because the Aksum were into trading, they have the long time relationship with the likes of the Roman. They trade in copper and all those kind of things. So through those legacies of Bilikisu Sungbo, she became popular in Yoruba land, she became popular in North Sudan, she became popular in Europe and so many other places. This is why we are, and there are many details. I try to put it down. I put archaeological references, religion level, that the fossils that were like the digging at the Yucatan Temple in America, and so many other ones that were when the Moors conquered Spain, and so many other references. In a nutshell, these are how the legacy of Bilikisu Sungbo spread across the rest of the continent, and she became who she is. So she's like one person under different names, and which story was taken from different perspectives. And you can also visit today's Ile-Ife. The British have been here, the Europeans have been here so many times, but you know, Africans, they don't portray African history, whereby the white Queen Sheba and the white Solomon you see, they don't even fit in what the Bible describes of them, because they were Africans. So all those Caucasian are just whitified history of the Bible. So that is all I can say. Please leave your comment below if you actually want me to treat something more regarding to it, because she has a deeper story beyond this. I just have to say from the general outlook of things. So I will see you, my regular. Please let me press the like button, subscribe, check on my other videos too. You don't need to insult anybody. Those insulting me, you are wasting your time, because I will never reply. I will just give you a basic answer, because you can't expect our ideology to be of the same. Whatever I say is either you believe or you don't believe. You don't need to insult anybody. We are all mature in these places. So I welcome everybody, and all your comments are welcome. I love everyone. Please subscribe to my channel, help me share my videos, and keep writing more. Another topic, any topic you actually want me to treat more. I will see you later. Bye for now.